All right, so welcome to Binge Guide, the next show.
Hey, everybody.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Victoria.
And we are ready for another deep dive with ya.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so today we are talking about a new movie called On Swift Horses.
Ooh, this one looks good.
Yeah, it's been getting a lot of buzz, and we wanted to pull together a lot of information for you today.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got news articles from Collider, Movie Nation, Age of the Nerd, the movie blog, the Austin Chronicle.
Wow, that's a lot.
We also looked at Wikipedia and IMDb just for the basic summary stuff.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
And then
to get us grounded.
Yeah, and to get a little taste of what the visuals would be like. We also checked out Rotten Tomatoes trailers.
Always good.
On their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And we've got a really thoughtful review that we're going to pull some stuff from the AB Club.
Nice.
So a lot of stuff to dive into.
That's it covered today.
Should be good. So On Swift Horses is a romantic drama set in the 1950s.
Love a good period piece.
Yeah, it really seems to capture kind of the post-war I don't know, just kind of the feeling,
The aesthetic.
Yeah, but also kind of the undercurrent of change that was kind of happening at the time.
Yeah, that brewing tension.
Yeah.
Under the surface.
So the movie centers around Muriel.
Who's played by the amazing Daisy Edgar-Jones.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big fan.
And then Julius is played by Jacob Elordi.
Oh, he's great too.
Yeah. So the story takes place after the Korean War.
Okay.
And it follows Muriel and her husband Lee.
Okay.
As they're trying to build a new life out in California.
All right, so the classic.
Yeah, the classic kind of American dream story.
Yeah.
But then as life often does, throw some curveballs, and things get complicated.
Let me guess, there's a love triangle.
Oh, you know it.
Gotta be.
There's love triangles, there's secrets, there's desires for personal freedom.
I mean, that sounds like all the makings of a good movie.
It does.
Sign me up.
And it's interesting, too, because we mentioned Daisy Edgar-Jones and Jacob Elordi.
Yeah.
But the cast is rounded out by Will Poulter as Lee.
Oh, wow.
Diego Calva as Henry and Sasha Calle as Sandra.
That's a really strong cast.
It's a really strong cast.
So we've got the premise, we've got the actors.
Yeah.
It's setting itself up to be something special.
Yeah, and it seems like it's very much a character-driven
for sure.
kind of film.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
let's get into it.
So to set the scene for you.
Yeah, paint us a picture.
We've got Muriel and Lee in California,
right.
And Lee's just back from the Korean War.
Okay, so they're starting their lives together.
Yeah, they're trying to, get back to normal and,
right.
and achieve the American dream.
Oh.
But then Lee's brother Julius shows up.
Oh, this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
The brother.
The brother.
Always got to watch out for the brother.
Yeah, and right away you can kind of feel that there's a little bit of tension there.
Ooh, what kind of tension are we talking? A connection between Muriel and Julius.
Oh, so maybe they both feel a little trapped.
Yeah, they both seem to be yearning for something more.
Yearning for freedom.
Than what society is kind of allowing them to have.
I feel like that's so common in those post-war periods.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to fit into this box.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, we just lived through something huge.
Yeah.
Let's break free.
There's even this moment where Muriel sees Julius like shirtless on their car, like working on the car or something. And it's just like this little sparks this moment.
Look.
Yeah, it's subtle, but like there's something there.
I feel like those little moments are always so important in these kinds of movies. Like they plant the seed for everything that's to come.
And speaking of seeds being planted, Julius doesn't actually stick around in California for too long.
Oh, where does he go?
He heads to Las Vegas.
Ooh, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Sin City.
So you can imagine, maybe a little bit more freedom.
A little looser, yeah.
Yeah, a little looser in Vegas.
Yeah.
He gets a job in a casino.
Okay.
Which I think is interesting because later on, he's actually described as like a wayward gambler.
Oh, so it's all connected.
Yeah, it's all kind of connected.
I like that.
But the real turning point for him in Vegas is when he meets Henry.
Okay, and who is Henry?
Henry is a coworker
at
the casino.
All right.
And they start a secret romantic relationship.
Ooh, so this is where the queer lens comes in that we were talking about?
Yeah, exactly. And this is like the 1950s.
A very different time.
A very different time.
Yeah.
To be having a same-sex relationship.
Yeah. Like we mentioned earlier, being queer was actually illegal in some places. Like San Diego until 1975.
Yeah. So
it's a big deal.
Huge risks.
Huge risks.
And they actually end up sharing a motel room together.
Oh, wow. So it's serious.
Yeah, they're living together.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a big A big step for Julius.
A big step in a very constricted time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while all this is going on with Julius,
Okay.
Muriel is back in California.
Right, back to Muriel.
Yeah. And she's kind of starting to live a little bit of a secret life of her own.
Ooh, how so?
She's working as a waitress.
Okay.
And overhears some tips about horse racing.
Oh.
And she gets bitten by the gambling bug.
The gambling bug.
Yeah.
I can see how that could happen.
And she starts winning.
Oh, so she's good at it.
Yeah, she's actually really good at it.
Good for her.
And this really becomes this source of freedom for her.
I was just going to say, especially as a woman in that time.
Yeah.
You know, like even having a credit card was difficult.
Yeah, you needed your husband to co-sign.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So this is like her own little world.
Yeah, and she's making her own money.
Yes.
She's making her own decisions.
She's independent.
Yeah.
I love that for her.
And through this kind of newfound independence,
Okay.
she actually starts a romantic relationship with her neighbor.
Her neighbor. All right.
Sandra.
Okay. And so Sandra.
Sandra's a woman.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got these two parallel love stories.
Yeah, we've got Julius and Henry in Vegas.
Right.
And we've got Muriel and Sandra in California.
Yeah, and they're both like going against the grain.
Yeah, going against the grain of the time.
Yeah, defying expectations.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I think this really speaks to those larger themes of the movie.
Okay. What are we thinking?
Freedom versus repression.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. We've already touched on it a little bit, but like the 1950s were
super conservative.
Super conservative.
Yeah.
There were all these social rules and expectations.
Right. And like we said, same-sex relationships
Huge taboo.
were illegal in many places.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to fathom now,
It's hard to imagine.
but it was a very different time.
Yeah, totally.
But then we also have this interesting contrast with Muriel's mother.
Oh, tell me about her mother.
So she was like this trailblazer in her community. She was the first woman in her town to have a car,
Wow.
go to college,
Oh.
and get a divorce.
Whoa. She was ahead of her time.
Yeah, she really was.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of shows that even within this like really restrictive society,
Yeah.
there were people who were pushing those boundaries.
Yeah, and I bet you that influenced Muriel.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And it kind of, it makes you think like, even in the darkest of times,
Yeah.
there's always hope for change.
There's always hope.
And it's interesting too, because the director, Daniel Minahan,
Okay.
he actually described the film as a reimagining of the American dream through a queer lens.
Ah, I love that.
Yeah. And he also said that it's a story about a lot of different kinds of love.
So it's really broadening that definition
Yes.
of what the American dream can be.
Yeah, not just the white picket fence.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's about finding your own version of happiness,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like.
Finding your truth.
Yeah.
So another thing that we wanted to talk about is gambling.
Oh, yeah. Gambling plays a big part in this film.
Yeah, it's more than just like a side plot.
Yeah.
It's really a major theme.
Yeah.
And it connects both Muriel and Julius.
Oh, how so?
Well, we know that Muriel gets into horse racing,
Right.
but Julius actually teaches her how to play poker.
Okay.
And he tells her that the one solemn obligation in poker is to stay well informed.
Okay. So it's about strategy.
Yeah. And I think that really applies to their lives too.
How so?
Well, they're both taking these huge risks
Yeah.
with their relationships.
Yeah, they're defying societal norms.
And they have to be careful.
Oh,
They have to be smart.
Be strategic.
So yeah, gambling kind of becomes this metaphor
I like that.
for the risks that they're taking in their personal lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're placing a bet on love,
Yeah.
on happiness.
And they're hoping that it pays off.
Yeah, hoping they hit the jackpot.
Yeah. And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't.
That's life, right?
That's life.
Taking chances.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about those love triangles.
Yeah, we've got those two main ones.
Right, Julius Henry and Muriel.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
Muriel Sandra.
And it sounds like the film really explores those relationships in a very
Intimate way.
intimate and complex way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not shying away from the messiness of it all.
No, not at all.
I like that.
And one of the reviews actually uses the phrase,
Which one?
it's Movie Nation, I think.
Okay.
They said that the film touches on the love that dare not speak its name,
Oh, wow.
which I think really kind of captures the
Yeah.
feeling of the time.
That forbidden love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful.
So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Okay, yeah, let's talk production.
So the thing was directed by Daniel Minahan,
Okay.
and the screenplay was written by Bryce Cass,
Right.
who adapted it from Shannon Pufahl's 2019 novel.
Oh, so it was based on a book.
It is based on a book.
Cool.
And interestingly, this is actually Cass's second theatrical film. His first one was Lizzie.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
Yeah. And that also dealt with a secret romance.
Oh, wow. So he's got a theme going on here.
Yeah, maybe he's drawn to those kind of stories.
I mean, they're definitely compelling.
Yeah.
Forbidden love always is.
So principal photography started in February 2023 in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And Diego Calva, who plays Henry,
right,
actually kind of teased that there were some pretty hot scenes.
Ooh, dude.
With Jacob Elordi.
I bet the fans are excited about that one.
I think so.
Yeah.
So the film's already been making the rounds at some film festivals.
Okay, which ones?
It premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival.
Big one.
Back in September 2024.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And then it was actually the closing night film at South by Southwest.
SXSW.
Yeah, SXSW.
Nice.
On March 13th, 2025.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's been getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, and what about the official release date?
So it's set to hit theaters on April 25th, 2025.
Oh, okay, so coming up soon.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And it's being released by Sony Pictures Classics.
Okay, they have a good track record.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And the early reviews have been pretty positive.
Oh, good. What are people saying?
Well, it's sitting at a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Fresh rating.
Yeah, and it's got a Metacritic score of 68.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hollywood Reporter called it beautiful and heartbreaking.
Ooh.
And they said that it was Elordi's best performance yet.
Wow, that's high praise.
Yeah. They also really liked Diego Calva's performance.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the acting is really shining through.
Yeah, it seems like the performances are one of the real highlights of the film.
Yeah.
IndieWire praised the writing, the cinematography, and the direction.
Okay.
And they said that it struck a really good balance between sentimentality and bitterness.
Oh, that's an interesting combination. I like that.
The Financial Times said that the film avoided reducing the affairs to like prestige tragedy or steamy entertainment.
Oh, that's good.
They said it felt like ordinary emotional truths.
Yeah, I mean, relationships are messy.
They are.
You know?
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with societal expectations and forbidden love.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that it wouldn't be all glamorous.
And then the AV Club had some really interesting things to say.
Oh, yeah. What did they think?
They called it a throwback romance.
Okay.
But with admirable explicitness regarding the characters' sexualities.
Okay, yeah.
Which is something that films of that era just couldn't do.
Right, they had to be so subtle
Yeah.
and coded.
Yeah, so it's refreshing to see that.
Yeah, I bet.
And they also compared Jacob Elordi's performance to James Dean.
Wow.
So, yeah, pretty high praise.
Yeah, like a classic movie star performance.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
So we talked about visuals and acting.
Yeah.
What about the music?
Oh, yeah, the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's composed by Mark Horton.
Okay.
And there's also an original song called Song for Henry.
Oh, wow.
Written and performed by Lauren Kramar.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, and Kramar actually said that it was a privilege to be involved in a project that was so focused on queer lives and the ongoing pursuit of self.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
It sounds like everyone involved is really passionate about this story.
Yeah, seems like it.
That's always a good sign.
And Daisy Edgar-Jones mentioned that there's also a cover of the 1950 song Mr. Blue in the film.
Oh, cool. So they're weaving in some of the era's music.
Yeah, giving it that authentic feel.
Yeah, I love that.
But it's important to remember that not all of the reviews have been completely positive.
Okay, yeah. What are some of the criticisms?
Well, the Collider review, while they liked it overall,
Okay.
they did mention some issues with the pacing and the tone.
Okay, so maybe it drags in places.
Yeah, maybe a little bit uneven.
Yeah.
And then the movie blog reviewer was a little disappointed that there wasn't more exploration of a potential heterosexual romance between Edgar-Jones and Elordi.
Okay, so they were hoping for a different kind of love triangle.
Yeah, I guess so.
Interesting.
And they also said that they had trouble understanding some of Diego Calva's dialogue.
Ew, because of his accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be tough sometimes.
Yeah.
But I guess it adds to the authenticity.
Yeah, I mean, he is playing a character who's not originally from the U.S.
Right.
So
That makes sense.
the Austin Chronicle had a really interesting point about the cross-cutting between Muriel and Julius's storylines.
Okay, what did they say?
Well, they thought that it might lead viewers to expect a romantic pairing between them,
Oh, I see.
rather than emphasizing that they're both kind of on these parallel journeys of self-discovery.
Yeah, I can see how that could happen.
Yeah. And they also felt that some scenes, like the one where Muriel searches for Julius in a gay bar,
Okay.
were a little romanticized
How interesting.
and maybe not totally authentic to the book.
Okay. Yeah, it's always tricky adapting a book into a movie.
Yeah, you have to make choices.
You gotta condense things.
And sometimes those choices don't always land for everyone.
Right, and especially people who've read the book.
Yeah, they have their own vision of how it should be.
Yeah.
So to sum it all up,
Okay, Poem.
On Swift Horses is a romantic drama set in the 1950s that explores complex themes of love, freedom, and identity. We've got Muriel and Lee trying to build a life after the Korean War.
Right.
Lee's brother Julius arrives.
Ooh.
There's a spark between him and Muriel.
A little tension.
Yeah. Julius heads to Vegas, finds love with Henry.
Okay.
Muriel stays in California, finds love with Sandra.
Gotcha.
And they're all kind of navigating this restrictive society.
Trying to find their own happiness.
Yeah, and trying to figure out who they really are.
Yeah, it sounds like a really thought-provoking film.
It does. And hopefully this deep dive has given you a better understanding of what to expect.
Yeah, gone beyond just the trailer and the basic plot points.
Yeah.
Giving you some food for thought.
Yeah, and maybe even inspires you to check it out yourself.
Yes, definitely.
So, On Swift Horses is set to release in theaters on April 25th, 2025.
Okay, so mark your calendars, everybody.
Yeah.
It's coming up soon.
If you're interested in seeing the trailer, you can find it on Rotten Tomatoes Trailers YouTube channel.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
And if you really want to dive deep, check out the book.
The original novel by Shannon Pufahl.
Yeah, you might find some interesting differences.
Oh, for sure.
Between the book and the film.
Yeah.
Always fun to compare.
So that's it for this deep dive on Binge Guide. The next show...
Another one down.
Yeah.
So many more to go.
As always, it's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Likewise.
Join us next time
for
another look at what's coming to theaters.
Can't wait.
Until then, I'm Andrew.
I'm Victoria.
And we'll catch you at the next show.
Bye, everyone.